I have a little bit of PTSD because this thing was making this sound. My SAL-33 is working fine now, but for the longest time I had terrible guiding because of a faulty RA brake and connection issues due to a faulty control board. Everything is fine now, and I have the whole dilemma on a video. Go check that out if you missed it. One of the things that came out of all of this is that I really learned how the inside of my SAL-33 works now. I am able to take it apart and put it back together within minutes. And in this video, I documented the steps I took to replace both the magnetic brake and the control board. And the total amount of work that you need to do is about 15 minutes, less if you're doing one or the other. So if you ever have to maintain your SAL-33 or MLAstro 1, I hope that this video is helpful. One tip I can give you is that although everything is aluminum in the SAL-33, you can still very easily strip the threading of the screws. So when you're screwing things back in, make sure you don't over tighten, just tighten enough. All right, let's go back in time and see what Min sent me and replace the two parts. All right, got the replacement parts. Let's see what's inside. Okay, this is the brake. All right, that was saran wrapped, and I was kind of wondering if this would come with the belt pre-installed, and it does, so I don't have to figure out taking this part apart and pushing that in there, but okay, that's good. And okay, so this is good, and then here I have the control board. They were all saran wrapped. Okay, so all right, this is the control board. Looks good. I think there was one capacitor that needed to be removed, which I don't think this one has, but I'll compare when I remove the other one. And in the back here, it has the CMOS battery here. So it should be good. We should be able to plug this in. Okay, to remove the magnetic brake, to replace it, first I need to open a couple of panels. I'm going to open this one, and I'm going to open this one on the side that has the logo. And for that, you need M2.5 Allen wrench. So these are pretty easy. I didn't tighten these much, so I'm going to quickly do this. The next thing we need to do is remove the side panel right here. Now the side panel sticks a little bit because there's a piece of sticky thing on the motor on the side of the motor, so you have to use a little bit of force, and it pops right off. And this is the thing that's sticky. And now we have access to the magnetic brake, which is right here, which is what's giving me problems. So, but before I get to this, I need to actually remove this front plate here as well. And to do that, there are two bolts down here and one to the right here. So I'm just gonna unplug those really fast. And then this just like kind of pops right off. And looking at it from the side, the yellow cable here is what the brake is. So I'm going to have to unplug that. So I'm just going to use my fingernail to remove it. There we go. There we go. And it pops right off. And I'm going to have to cut this zip tie later to remove that. So I'm just going to leave this hanging right here. The next thing we need to do is tackle the magnetic brake, which is right over here. And to do that, I need to remove these two bolts. These two bolts, these are M3, this will require M3 Allen wrenches, so let's try that out. So now that this is loose, I'll actually use my Allen wrench and remove it from around the little gear teeth over there, so that it comes up and over. Alrighty, I got that. So now I'm going to get a clipper for the zip tie. Okay, got some wire cutters. Make sure I don't cut anything but the zip tie. There we go. Perfect. Alright, now the magnetic brake is off, and this is what it looks like. You know, this is what I had to get out from the other side. Basically, it needed to come out of this teeth so that it doesn't grab onto the thing. And then putting it back on should be easy enough, but probably pretty difficult. I loosely put the front board back just to do a quick test to make sure that I didn't break anything. before tackling removing the control board itself. Screwing that back on actually helps a little bit because it's steady when we uninstall the board later on. Now let's take it apart. Now I'm going to remove the front panel here. And it's a screw. It's a regular Phillips head, not a hex screw. This is out, and I have all of the connectors on this side. So I'm just gonna use my fingers to unplug them all. There we go. Pops off. Pops off. Deck RA, and then this is the switch, the power switch on this side. You just wiggle it off. All right, next thing we have are the two antennas here. So you probably want to use maybe like a flathead screwdriver to pop it off. Can I use my nail? There we go. All right, I used my nail. My nails are about like, I don't know if you can see it. They're not very long, but that worked. There we go. Okay, that's off. Okay, I got my new one here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in the antennas as they were. They should just pop right in. This is the ESP8266, and I think the other one's the ESP32. Yep. Okay. There we go. Just like popped right in, and then this one is going to pop right in here. Okay, we have to twist this a little bit. Alright, these are tiny and fragile, but I got them in, so I have those connected. The next thing I want to connect is the switch here, which is just the red and black cable. So this little one here goes into the little switch port right here. And finally, I'm going to connect the declination. There we go. And I said finally is because I'm not going to install the RA yet. It's because I need to install the brake and turn this thing on and make sure that the brake belt locks into the RA thing here before the RA motor turns on. So that's the order of operations. So that's what I'm going to do. But I did this here so that it's easy for me to just install this, plug this back in, and then I'm going to open up the panel here. So I'm going to do that now. But if you are replacing the board, plug in just the board and not the magnetic brakes or anything else. Plug in the RA and you're all set. While we wait for me to screw this in, I want to send a huge thanks to all of my patrons on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee supporters, and members here on YouTube for supporting me and all of my work here. If you'd like to join this list, please check out the links in the description and the pinned comment below. Let's get back to screwing. Alright, so now I'm going to remove this panel here so that I can access the belt to install the brakes. And to do that, the easiest thing is there's 3 screws, one here, and then one on the side here, which you saw earlier. So this is going to be on the bottom here. Right now this pulls out. I can put it to the side somewhere here. Let's let it hang. The wires are thick enough to hold it, and I have the RA cable here that is already unplugged. I'm not going to plug it in yet. I'm going to put it through this hole here. Alright, so now I have access to this, and I'm going to install the brake here. Alright, so now the brake is going to go here. I'm just going to very loosely connect the screws so that it stays in place while I'm doing stuff, but I'm not going to tighten it. Okay. Alright, so it's roughly in place now, so it's not going to fall over when I'm trying to connect the belt. Okay, so now I'm going to try and get the belt onto here, and I'm going to use my hex wrench to try and push it over and in, because I don't want to remove like the deck or the hex screws here. Okay. There we go. Push it in and then pull it and then screw it in, right? Okay. Alright, that's the way to do it. All right, so this is done. It's a little bit hard to see, but you want to make sure that you have about 2 millimeters of slack here. You can use your hex wrench to give it a little tug and see from either side and make sure that it's not super tight. Same thing goes for the RA motor. And if you're here, you need to loosen or tighten the RA belt. Make sure you do that now. Okay, so now this is good. And now I can connect the little yellow cable to the brake line here. Just goes in there. Again, I'm not connecting the brake line to the brake cable. And you want to make sure that it fits properly here. And then once it's there, okay, good. And again, I'm not going to plug in the RA motor yet. So I'm going to turn this on and then we'll hear a click, hopefully, if everything worked. Okay, so I have this here. All right. That powered on. I think you can kind of see that clicked. Okay, that worked. That's a good sign for both the board and the brake. So the brake clicked on. I'm going to unplug this, turn it off. Great. I'm going to unplug this. Now I'm going to reconnect the RA plug here. It goes in there. Oh boy, cable management, cable management. Just going to plug this in here. Great. Now I'm going to screw this part back in. I'm just going to do the one here. Oh, whoops. You know what happened here? I pulled it and one of the antennas came loose, so I'm going to have to fix that. No problem, no problem. No problem, I'll do that this way. Okay, I'm going to plug this back in. Only one Allen wrench is going in. Okay, good. Okay, so I have this. Let's get this. Plug this back in. Okay, that's good. All right, that's good. So now I'm going to turn this on and see if it spins. All right, that turned on. So I'm going to look for a Wi-Fi signal so I can connect to this. Look at that. Just gotta get close. I'm gonna get my face close, see if I can hear any clicks. This works. I'm happy with it. Turn it off. Hear the click again, and we're all good. All right, everything's plugged in. Let's do one last test. Even though my mount is working really well now, every time there's a blip in guiding from either wind or something else, I have a little bit of a heart attack. So the SAL-33 does have some work to do in order to gain my full trust, because I feel like I'm constantly monitoring the guiding, even though at this point, you know, it's been well over a dozen sessions where it's worked fine, aside from a few blips here and there due to other environmental reasons. And a huge thanks to Min and his team for working with me on resolving these issues, on troubleshooting and figuring out what the issues are. Like I said in my last video, these were all due to cold weather. You know, here in Boston, the weather was really cold in the wintertime. And like I said, I can take this thing apart and put it back together within a few minutes. And I kind of feel like, hey, what if, you know, they had SAL-33 in kit form? You know, they send me all the parts and let me put it together. I feel like that would be a really neat exercise, especially if it's a little bit cheaper if I assemble it myself. Next thing on my to-do list is to test out the Windows app and the Android app that came out that controls OnStep X mounts. So it'll work with anything that runs with OnStep, not just this SAL-33, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. If you have any questions or comments, please ask below. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and until next time, clear skies.